Thanks for tuning in to Positioning Your Passion podcast. I'm your host, Na, and I'm here with Chicago's own Des Money. Thank you for being on the podcast. For sure. Des, what's your full name?
My full name is Desmond Owusu. Well, let me keep the full name.
Yeah.
Desmond Harold Kwekuyao Owusu.
And that is?
That's Ghanaian.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm first generation Ghanaian.
Okay.
Yeah, and the names. So my name is actually like mad like black in Chicago. My dad was really into history. So he named me after Desmond Tutu.
Okay.
And he was also, very into politics in a way, and was a fan of Harold Washington.
Mm-hmm.
So Harold Washington passed in like 87 in November, and then I was born in 88 January. So my pops was just like, it's kind of like, you know what I mean? He's like, I'm going to name him Harold too. And then Kwekuyao, those are like day names. I was born on a Thursday, so in a Akan tribe or in the Shanti tribe, if you're born on a specific day, you have a particular name.
Mm-hmm.
And my name is Yao. Since I was born on Thursday. But my dad was born on Wednesday, and, a lot of times you name your first son or you name one of your sons after you. So I kind of got like a mixture. So that's all of them. Yeah,
that's really cool. There. Thanks for sharing that. And so Des Money, is that a nickname or is that just your social?
When I was a shorty, my mom like would dress me up, I don't know if all moms are like that with their sons. I feel like I see that a lot, but like she would like put me in like 3-piece joints, you know what I'm saying, with the newspaper hat, and whenever we went out, it's a thing in Ghanaian culture, and I think in Nigerian culture too, where like when the kids are doing something well, or like when something fire is happening, you know what I'm saying, like the adult, or the adults around, like kind of like they give you money, almost like as a form of like encouragement or like praise or whatever. So people used to see me. I used to come with a whole little vest, bow tie, you know what I'm saying? And they used to just give me like dollars, you know what I mean? So I'd be like a 4-year-old, you know what I'm saying, a 5-year-old with just like singles in my pocket, you know what I'm saying? And I had an uncle. His name is Uncle Nana Rafia, super cool dude. He used to, every time he saw me, he used to be like, money man, money man, money man, money man. Yeah, like there's a raspy voice or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And in Tree, which is, the language for Ghanaians, the way you say money man or a person with a lot of money is osikeni, sika is like is money in Tree, so I kind of like that kind of has always like stayed with me, that name, but I kind of wanted to also translate it in a way, you know what I'm saying, and yeah, that's kind of like the origin of like where the money part comes with Desmond. I kind of just mix it in there.
Nice. Yeah. That's really fire.
Yep.
You was looking like money, so they blessed you with money.
Me,
you know what I'm saying?
You know what I mean? They was spraying me.
Nice. And what was it like, I guess, growing up being first generation Ghanaian?
Mm-hmm.
And like, what's your family breakdown? Like, how many sisters, brothers, or like? Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, my pops got to America, Chicago, like 73. Then he brought my mom in 75, and they resided on the South Side, since they came, and I grew up on the South Side with 3 sisters. I also have a half brother too, and I mean, I grew up on the Burn side, so that's like, where the rink is at.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah,
87?
yeah, 87.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of like in that whole little nook area or whatever, you know what I mean? So, that's like the real South Side in a lot of ways, middle class, but still like the hood, you know what I'm saying? So I grew up around like the folks, you know what I'm saying? All of that, but I also had a very cultural home, you know what I'm saying? So it was interesting for a while to just kind of navigate. Like, I remember one of my homies, he kind of said, he was like, man, and not this specifically, but he was like, in your crib, it felt like coming to America, and then you walk outside, it felt like juice, you know what I'm saying? And not necessarily that, I wouldn't use those comparisons, but like, just kind of having growing up where like it's a lot of, tradition, you know what I'm saying? And then coming outside and it's like, all right, I got to kind of like navigate and kind of figure out, what all this means, how does this all kind of connect or whatever. But it was dope, man. I wouldn't change it for the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I'm happy my parents decided to, you know, come to America. You know what I'm saying? I think it allowed me to be able to kind of like bridge a lot of gaps. You know.
Yeah. Do you feel like the pressure of being first gen, or like, I know there's like different you know, experiences depending on where you're from, but is that something that you carry, or is it more so like just the pride, or a combo?
I think it's a combo, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm proud for sure, but I also like know the responsibility of, you know, making like my people proud, you know what I'm saying? And I think that other part of like being first gen is like, you know, it has helped me realize that, man, all of us are connected. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, as much as I'm trying to make, you know, Ghanaians proud, I'm also just trying to make everybody proud, you know, in regards to like, you know, all people of African descent. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But I try, obviously I think you can look at it as pressure, but you know, I try to look at it, instead of looking at it as like a weight, I try to make it a part of like the dance, you know what I'm saying? Just to kind of, you know, be able to kind of navigate through it, you know what I mean? So
yeah, that's a good perspective to have and a great way to put it. What high school did you go to?
De La Salle. So I got a full ride to go to De La Salle.
Okay.
As you know, it's a Catholic school, so tuition.
I grew up on 35th.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So
I grew up in Stateway.
Oh, wow. Word.
Yeah.
I got a homie that grew up in Stateway.
Yeah. They wanted me to go to De La Salle, but I went to Phillips.
Okay.
Yeah,
Phillips.
so.
Shout out to Phillips. Phillips is a super historical ass
Come on, we already know.
School. Oh
yeah.
my God. I saw like the list of alumni one time and I was like, damn.
It's crazy.
So many raw ass people came out of Phillips.
Yeah, and then just the connection to DuSable as well. So when you were telling me about, we'll talk about it, but like just the connection with Shabazz and DuSable.
Yep.
So
Yep.
But okay, what was high school days like?
Man, high school days was so little. I was mad little, man. Had a huge little head, you know, was athletic, you know what I'm saying? You know, so I was playing sports, basketball for a couple of years, and track. I was also smart, you know what I'm saying? So like my first year, I was like in a regular college prep program, but I think I got straight A's like all of the whole year. So then the person that was running the honors program was like, yo, you know what I'm saying, how you feel about taking honors next year or whatever? So I ended up doing it. I was the type of cat in high school that I was cool with everybody, you know what I'm saying? Because I kind of did everything. Like I was in Spanish club, I hooped, you know, I knew the moles in the school, I knew the folks, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I kind of got around, you know, but like in a cool,
well-rounded.
You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, it's like, man, you know, we in this school, you know, that was mad diverse, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm coming from, you know, the South Side, you know, and super black elementary school. And, you know, as soon as I walk in, I see white kids, I see, you know, Latino kids, you know, there's Asian kids, and it's like, wow, you know what I'm saying? This is like different for me, you know, it's mad diverse, you know what I mean? But it opened me up and kind of like really gave me like my first like full Chicago experience, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so high school was cool. High school was a good experience for me. Like I learned, and it was all boys at that time. Like right now, De La Salle is co-ed. When I first got there, they had just opened up the girls' campus. So you know we was in there all guys. You know what I'm saying? Always thirsty to kind of just like, you know, introduce ourselves to a girl or see the girls when they came over. You know what I'm saying? So like, you know, that was also like interesting to navigate too. You know what I'm saying? But high school was a cool experience for me, man. You know what I'm saying? I think I've been lucky enough or fortunate to where most people kind of like me. You know what I'm saying? I haven't, you know, I wasn't that kid that kind of like, you know, really got like bullied or anything like that. If I did, it was probably like an older cousin that was just like, because I was the smallest, they would like pick on me or whatever. But I was kind of fortunate enough to, you know what I mean, have a pretty decent high school career.
That's dope. And did you go on to like college? Did you?
Yeah. Yep. So I graduated in 2006, and then I ended up getting a full ride to this super small school. It was a PWI in like northern Iowa.
Okay.
Yeah, called Buena Vista University.
What was that like?
Crazy.
Okay.
Culture shock.
I bet.
You know what I'm saying? Because just mad rural, you know what I'm saying? You know, cornfields, single roads.
What did you major in?
I majored in biology and psychology. Yeah.
Okay.
So I had that. Yeah, like I said, my parents are from Africa, so they was pushing.
I was gonna say that sound like
what I mean?
Yeah.
Engineer, be a rocket scientist. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I was also like, I was doing good in school, so at that time, I was thinking like, man, why not be a doctor? You know what I'm saying? That's what my parents wanted. It seemed like they made good money. You know what I mean? But I remember I was interested in like philosophy too. You know what I'm saying? But my pops was telling me like, man, philosophy is cool, but you're not gonna make no money in that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, all right, man, I guess. You know what I mean? But yeah. Yep. That was my major, and then I actually minored in psychology.
Okay.
Yeah.
So got it in there just a little bit.
Yeah. But that's kind of what like. Because biology is crazy. Like science, just as a science major, like I feel for any science major, any econ major, you know what I'm saying? Like, those are like really tough majors, you know what I'm saying? Just because of how rigorous, the curriculum is and how much you got to study, you know what I'm saying? How much you got to memorize.
Yeah, and it's like a 5-year program.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Like on average.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But psychology for me just it was intriguing because it was just like, damn, I can actually understand why people do the things they do, and then there's theories behind it, and then there's studies, you know what I'm saying, so that kind of like really really like intrigued me and pulled me in, so much so that I did a year of when I graduated, I did a year of grad school at the Chicago School of Professional Psychology, but then I dropped out.
Okay.
That was the grad school, so I graduated college. And then
how did you start designing? And like, what was like, I guess, the first thing you designed?
Word. If we're talking about clothes, I would probably have to say like my origin story probably starts around leaders. If we're talking about just design in general and like just kind of like around like my early introduction to art, that's probably like me growing up in the West African performing arts, you know what I'm saying? So, playing like djembe, doing, West African masquerade and dance. Like, I was walking stilts, and I was 12 years old, you know what I mean? As part of like, African masquerade. So I was designing like masks, with like mentors and shit like that, you know what I mean? But clothes wise, I would say my origin story is probably like leaders, I remember the first time I walked into Leaders, they were on 43rd still, like right off of King Drive, and I was trying to get these. This is like when this is 06, so I'm working. I got a gig I'm about to graduate. I graduated actually this summer, so I got a gig at Brookfield Zoo.
Okay.
I'm working in their gift shop. You know what I'm saying? Making some decent money. You know what I mean? Nothing crazy, but it's enough to like I could buy some shoes every week. You know what I'm saying? So at this time, Nice Kicks wasn't what we know Nice Kicks as. Nice Kicks was kind of just like more or less like a blog, or like if shoes were dropping, they could tell you like where to go get it in your city. Mm-hmm. And at this time, Greedy Genius was like it was like a knockoff Air Force One. You know what I'm saying? Crazy. It was pretty much the same silhouette, but they were doing like cooler colors. Might have been a little bit thicker. But they had like this red, black, and green pair that I wanted, so I ended up finding it, and it was only 2 stores that had it. It was Leaders and I think maybe Self-Conscious, which I think it's like connected to Sir Madam, Brian, and
oh, okay.
Yep. Brian and Autumn. But walked into Leaders, and that was like, I felt like as soon as I walked into Leaders, it felt like this cool ass barbershop with just raw ass product, so I'm I've always been into sneakers, you know what I'm saying, just kind of like on some just staying fresh. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying, playing basketball as a hooper, you know what I mean, you always kind of like you want to look good, so I was just naturally into sneakers, but going in there, you know what I'm saying, it was just nothing but black people, you know what I'm saying. It was black people checking you out, it was black people hanging around looking at the clothes, you know what I'm saying. And I had never seen anything like that in my life, you know what I'm saying? Just like, usually you go, at that time, we were shopping at like City Sports, you know what I mean? So it might have been like, Korean people, Korean guys or whatever, but never like a whole shop, you know what I'm saying, that was all black, you know what I mean? So yeah, that kind of like, that made me learn more and kind of delve in deeper into what leaders was, and I eventually kind of became one of those leaders kids, kind of like hanging around, and so much so that me and my homies, my cousins, we started a brand called Nerdy.
Okay.
Yeah, yep. And those are kind of like the first like pieces where I was like, all right, we gonna graphic design, we figuring this out. We want this to look like this. We want this to look like that.
Nerdy.
Yeah, nerdy.
nerdy. And y'all was just doing like tees and.
Yeah, this was like our intro to streetwear. So like 06, 07, you gotta think about like Lupe. You know what I'm saying? Early Fashion Geek. Kanye wearing, you know what I'm saying, like skinny, you know what I'm saying, like that whole idea of kind of like changing the narrative of like what a nerd was, but like, putting it in a cool framework, you know what I'm saying, but not being like, afraid to be smart, you know what I'm saying, but like, just trying to look cool and be smart, so that was kind of like our whole premise or whatever. Like we want to make a brand called Nerdy, but it's not like your regular nerd. We cool nerds type shit, you know what I'm saying? But
right.
Yeah, we was doing like tees, hoodies, crew necks. We had our first pop up also too inside of Leaders when it was on Wells, and at that time we was like, I think we was probably like the youngest brand inside of Leaders, which we thought was mad cool,
Yeah. And how old were you? It was like fresh out of college.
Yeah, probably like 22, 23. Yep. And I think our biggest piece at that point was this joint that I made called Chicago to the World Blow Up. Yeah, that was like I would say that's probably the first piece I designed on my own. Yeah, Chicago to the World Blow Up, and that was just like a flip. Like I said, like where I grew up, Burnside, like I guess like the set name I never said that before, but the set name of Burnside was Flipside. You know what I mean? Because it was always like, it was a lot. I think it was like it was for sure GDs. When I was younger, I think maybe some Mo's was over there, but people was always flipping, so that's kind of where the name came from. But with the GDs being over there, I would always see like GDN to the World Blow, or you know what I'm saying. So as I started designing, I was trying to think of ways to kind of like not be divisive, you know what I'm saying, and like unite the city in a way. So I'm like, all right, it's gonna take out, if we put GD or whatever, that's gonna polarize whatever, you know what I mean, or make it a polarizing piece. So yeah, that's kind of where Chicago to the World came from. So I would say that's the first design.
Nice.
I say that. I had to talk through it to think about it.
No, that's fire. And then from there, just continuing, you are a part of a design collective, Fat Tiger. Can you talk about like how y'all met and linked up?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So Joe and Rello, they used to work at Leaders, So when we used to go to Leaders, myself, my homie Eddie and Nana, we would always bug like Vic. You know what I mean? Vic was kind of like Vic and Ty. Vic was like the big brother that always tolerated us. And we used to teach us a bunch of shit too. But Rello and Vic worked there, and they had a brand called Vida Morte. Vida Morte was like probably one of the hottest, coolest brands, streetwear brands, in Chicago at that time. And Rello and Joe were like always like mad, like cool and embracing. You know what I mean? So when we used to come up there, just kicking shit, just hanging around. They always just was teaching us stuff, or just just kind of just having us around. And I remember one time on Twitter, Rello had tweeted that Vida Morte was looking for an intern, and I was like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? I had always like rocked with them and looked up to what they were doing, because they were throwing parties, you know what I'm saying? They was just doing all the cool shit. They had cool T-shirts. So I'm like, man, they've been in this for a second, you know what I'm saying? Let me learn from them, you know what I'm saying? So jumped on that opportunity, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, that was kind of like the start of like the brotherhood that I was able to build with Joe and Rello, you know what I'm saying? And we kind of just kept growing that, as we opened up Fat Tiger, you know what I'm saying? So when I started Fat Tiger, or when we started Fat Tiger, when I started at Fat Tiger, I was still an intern, you know what I'm saying? I kind of just worked my way up, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, Fat Tiger's like, we need a 30 for 30, you know what I'm saying? Like we need a documentary, man. Netflix, somebody got to holler at us. But because it's such a amazing story, like I feel like we need an entire podcast just to kind of talk about that. You know what I'm saying? But for me, it was a brotherhood. It was a institution. It was a family. It was one of streetwear's what do they call it? Like an industry darling. You know what I'm saying? I think we were really ahead in what we were doing. We was making our own stuff. You know what I'm saying? Designing it. Selling it. We were creating safe spaces, you know what I'm saying, pop-ups. We were a vertical store at a lot of points, which, pretty means that everything that we made, we sold. It was just a beautiful thing, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy that, I was able to do that with my brothers, you know what I'm saying? Like, still all very cool, you know what I mean? And, I feel like we were able to create like some history, in a city that I think, is pretty important.
Yeah. All great things come to an end.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah.
Can you talk about like what that from like a business and like what that was like? Like what went into it? Is it just like, oh, we all meet and it's like, oh, okay, now we're, separating this, or like is it more so agreements and contracts involved? Like what does it look like to end something that's a brick and mortar and end it amicably?
The way we ran things, is really kind of like mom and pop shop type beat, you know what I'm saying? So it was more of just like, this is probably the best thing to do right now. You know what I'm saying? We have been doing it for 8 years. You know what I'm saying? And I think all of us are kind of growing in different directions. You know what I'm saying? And it was just like, hey, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna end this. We started this together. We're gonna end it together. You know what I'm saying? And if something in the future, presents itself, you know what I'm saying? Whatever reunion tour. You know what I'm saying? Like, it kind of like. Almost like we kind of looked at ourselves as almost like a Wu-Tang in a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying? Just with like
so this version or iteration is moving on. But
you know what I'm saying? Wu-Tang is forever. Fat Tiger is forever. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but like I said, it looks different for everybody. Like I think it could get tricky with certain people when contracts might be involved or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But I think for us, because we were able to maintain a high level of love, you know what I'm saying, for each other, and respect. I think we were able to do it in a way that, we all kind of, left and, it was like, hey, it's what we got to do, let's do it.
It was like on to the next.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
and thankful for everything that has been.
Yep.
That's so dope. And you're working on some new things.
Word.
In terms of physical space. I know we were talking in you can't share everything, but
right.
For what you can share, like what is it that you're working on, the vision, and then maybe why is it important for you to like be thinking about, having a space for what you're doing?
Yeah, I think I think about like what leaders was for me and what it was for a lot of youth, almost like a safe haven, you know what I'm saying, and a place to kind of go to learn, a place to go to explore, you know what I'm saying, a place to go to exchange with other fellow youth, you know what I mean, or even people that, might be in the industry or be in a field that you are interested in. I think it's just so important to have safe spaces for youth interested in other, you know what I'm saying, so for me, I know that because I benefited, from that experience. I want to, make sure that young creatives, or creatives younger than me have that chance too, you know what I'm saying, or have options, to be able to explore that, So yeah, that's kind of where like I'm working on the physical space and also just like, feel that it is important, you know what I'm saying. But I think it's also tricky, you know what I'm saying, in the time that we're living in, because everything is online. So much is online, you know what I'm saying. But like, I think you gotta find that balance, you know what I mean? Because there's nothing like, dapping somebody up, or like Chicago's love language is handshakes. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't beat that. You can't really recreate that online. You can send somebody a gift or like you can read. You know what I'm saying? But it's different when you can you form a handshake. You know what I'm saying? Or you have that direct energy exchange. You know what I mean? And I think when you have that physical space, you kind of have like this canvas to let life happen, to let art grow. You know what I'm saying? To let creativity express and all of that.
So you're building a canvas.
Word, exactly.
Come on.
Yeah, I like that. Yep.
Yeah, that's really cool. So in building that, can you talk about like maybe like what are your expenses? How are you funding it? Is it self-funded? And do you think it is imperative for designers to have a space? Why or why not?
Word. Yeah, I mean, everything that I do right now is self-funded. I definitely want to get into the grant space more though, just because my vision for the space is for it to have a community component. Even going back to the Fat Tiger piece, where we kind of started that model. I wouldn't say we started, because I feel like that the whole start and initial, that can get weird sometimes. But I think we were one of the earlier, you know what I'm saying?
The proof of concept.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're like, having workshops, having, because I mean, the Black Arts Movement, Afri Cobra, you know what I'm saying? Like, all of them, even, we talked a little bit about Dusaba and, like, Margaret Burroughs, like, they were doing workshops, you know what I mean? But, like, that whole piece of just creating space for citizens, for youth, you know what I'm saying? I think that stuff needs to be, like, funded, or should be funded, you know what I'm saying, by the city, you know what I'm saying? Tax dollars should go to that type of stuff, so yeah, that's kind of why I want to, kind of get into that, you know what I mean? Because I think the city should support those type of initiatives, you know what I mean? Because it's for the community. But yeah, self-funded, you know what I'm saying? Just that's kind of like the maybe like the blue collar in me, you know what I'm saying? But I think, you gotta also expand, you know what I'm saying? Where, you gotta, network and also kind of just find other ways to fund things, you know what I mean? But I think when it comes to, having space, you got to think about overhead and all those things, obviously rent, whatever light is, just those, those type of things, you know what I mean? Wi-Fi, the little things that you don't think about, or even if, the things that you have personally in your house is kind of double that, you know what I'm saying? Because you got to pay it twice or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, yep.
Yeah, do you feel like as a designer, having a physical space is important? Like, is that necessary? I know you were talking about, like, nothing beats the in-person handshake. Online is what it is. But, like, do you feel like between being the person that is going, hey, you can pull up on me and shop, or I'm just, selling my products online. Right. Do you feel it away, or?
I think so, because, I mean, I feel like brick and mortar is still important, but you just kind of have to figure out how it can work for you, I think also as, like, just artists and creatives, it's important to, like, have your own space, you know what I'm saying? Just for, like, your solitude, I think it helps with just making sure that, like, you have a space to, like, be you and kind of let your world grow, you know what I'm saying? So I want to say it is imperative, you know what I mean? But I think you gotta craft it for you, you know what I'm saying? Whether, like, that's 800 foot or 800 square feet, or if that's 16,000, you know what I'm saying? But I think because when I think about creators, when I think about brick and mortars, physical space and all that, in my mind, you're, like, creating a world. You know what I'm saying? So, like, this world that you're creating as creative, you want to actualize that, or, like, physicalize that. I don't know if that's a word, but, you know what I mean? I think having a space as a designer kind of helps your work live, you know what I'm saying, in this matter, like, in this physical matter type of space, you know what I mean? And like you're saying, it gives, when people in town, you can have them actually, like, pull up on, and they can pull up to your crib too, you know what I'm saying? But, you know what I mean? I think it gives you another, it puts you in another in a different space to like kind of find like a you know like a it's almost like a superpower in a way when you can create spaces, you know what I mean, that like mimic your world, you know what I mean. It's some type of like thing, I don't know what to call it specifically, but yeah, I think it is important, man.
So you have designed a lot of things, just for yourself and your own brand. You also collabed. You also designed for others. Can you talk about the process of getting the work? So is it you're hitting up people, they're hitting you, and like what is that balance that you have mastered in being able to really negotiate your value, for those creative collab opportunities?
Yeah, I think I've been fortunate to kind of like be in the right spaces, or know the right people, or have the right people kind of know about my work. So a lot of times like work has come to me, but I feel like one thing I want to be able to also do, because I love people that are like able to send a pitch deck, like just out the blue and land something. Like I want to develop that muscle, you know what I mean, because I think that's important too, but like collaborating is interesting because for me, I think it's very important, and I think maybe this is like kind of like the streetwear in me, is that like when you collaborate, you got to make sure that like you're still present. You know what I'm saying? You're still like whatever your DNA, your ethos is as a brand, as a creative. That's still seeping through. You know what I'm saying? Within the collaboration. And for me, like whenever I get collaborations, I don't have anybody. I don't have like a business manager or like somebody that sits in the meetings with me. So I'm like navigating things kind of by myself, or like, I may have heard how Joe might do something or how Rello might do something, you know what I mean? And then I'll kind of like, do my own thing with it, you know what I mean? But I've been making sure that I'm not like, not afraid or, not bashful or like shy to ask questions, you know what I'm saying? Because I think a lot of times, like when you get those calls or you get the email, sometimes it'd be like, oh shit, I got a seat at the table type of thing, or whatever. It's like, yeah, you know what I mean. But
happy to be there.
You know what I'm saying? Type B, But like, I after we did the after we had the Adidas collab, I think that kind of helped me like kind of shake off my like, woof, like I'm really, you know what I'm saying? Like this is. I'm happy to be here, you know what I'm saying? Because I've learned, with these collabs is the people, whoever it is, the company, they want you, you know what I'm saying? They need your cool, you know what I'm saying? They need your creative, you know what I'm saying? Creativity, and I think when you remember that, when you have like an acknowledgement, you know what I'm saying, of your value, I think it allows you to, send that email or, walk into the meeting with some confidence, you know what I'm saying? Or like, just kind of, just be you, you know what I mean? So I try to approach everything just from like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Not like, I'm that nigga, but like,
But that you are.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But also it's like, you call me for a reason, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly,
like, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause
I deserve to be here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. I don't know if I answered all of that question, but it is an art to collaborating too, because there are like guidelines, or like there are what's the word? Because I know I told you about it, but I just did something with. I'm in the process of doing something with Chicago Sky, and first couple emails was cool, you know what I'm saying? Then like the design work, I actually got the design work done, and then it's like, all right, now here are the rounds of what's the word? I can't find the word right now, but like just the rounds where you have to go through, like, all right, well, we want to change this, we want this logo to be here.
Well, the edit, sometimes it's the work creep.
It
can be, that's like that little gray area before you're like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And in that process, you gotta like know how to navigate that. You know what I'm saying? To where both of you guys are, satisfied or like happy, or you don't feel like, you know what I'm saying, you're not seen, you know what I'm saying, you know. So that, I think it's an art to that too, you know. But then I also think it's an art to like, you know, putting Easter eggs and like, you know, because I think that's a cool thing with like, you know, understanding culture and being witty, being clever. It's like you can kind of sneak something past a company and they may not even see it, you know what I mean, just because whoever you're dealing with may not be that tapped in, you know what I mean? So you can get away with like, you know, a symbol or like, you know, something that kind of signifies in culture, you know what I'm saying? You know, but they won't get it, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's an art to navigating that too, you know what I'm saying? Just, you know, just being yourself while still collabing, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, it's important to be you in that collab.
Yeah. What are or do you have any like favorite drops that you've done, whether it's like your own brand or just in collaboration? Top drops. Memorable.
Yeah.
That you really loved.
Let's see.
And why?
Where I think, I mean, for me, I think the my favorite of all time is probably like the Adidas drops. You know, I did the we got Rivalry High, and then we did the Chicago Girls Shell Toe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I slept.
Man, I wish you would have told me. I wish you was locked in back then. You know what I mean? You know.
It's all good. But yeah, those are fire. Both of the red, all red, and then the green.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. Thank you. You know, that's like a, you know, Chicago kid's dream. You know what I'm saying? You know, any kid dream really that's into like cool shit. You know, to design your own sneakers. You know, that was a cool moment. You know, and that was All-Star Weekend. You know, in Chicago. But I mean, just a lot of things, like, you know, yeah, I done earrings, you know, like I flipped like a bamboo earring to say Chicago girls do it better. The Chicago Sky piece is really cool, you know, that it's a T-shirt that's gonna be dropping for their home opener. You know, that was cool. This is probably the quickest collab, you know, that I've done. It didn't really have to go through too many rounds of approval, you know what I mean? Maybe that's the word I was looking for too. Like, things have to get approved, you know. Like when I was doing stuff with Foot Locker, certain things didn't get approved, you know. Then yeah, when I did a couple collabs with Foot Locker, that was dope too. So I just, yeah, you know.
You like just things, man, all of them. You know all of them are cool.
Yeah,
well, no, that's good though. Like staying humble and being like obviously having like fun and intention with everything that you're doing. Can you talk a little bit about navigating selling versus seeding? So that's always a big thing, especially in streetwear, whether folks don't see the value in paying that $50 for the tee, whether they want it for free, whether you want to get placement on certain people to, you know, wear your stuff.
Right.
How have you dealt with that? Obviously, you are in a privileged place, you know, like leaders, you know, being the homies to like open up doors. But like speaking to folks that are maybe emerging, like how do you navigate giving stuff away versus selling, especially when you're trying to build your brand?
Yeah.
And it's tricky.
It is tricky. And I'm probably like the wrong person to ask, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm so nice, you know what I'm saying? So like, you know what I mean? Because like, you know, I'll give it away on some like I had a barber when I was younger. I had a barber and I was, you know, he cut me up, you know. He might have been like a teacher of mine, I think. But anyway, he was like, yeah, I'll cut you up, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, it had me spinning. Like, my joint was, you know, very crispy, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was proper, you know what I'm saying? And as I was about to pay him, you know, he was like, nah, man, like, this, you know, the first one on the house, you know what I'm saying, just to make sure, you know, you like it, you know what I'm saying, make sure, you know, you come back, you know what I'm saying, you know. And I kind of, sometimes I treat seeding like that, you know, where it's like, I give you the first one, you know what I'm saying, if you're rocking with it, you know what I'm saying, you know, you'll come back. And when you come back, you know, obviously you respect what we got going on, you know what I'm saying, so like, you know, the hope is that you're going to pay for it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I do also believe that, you know, I do believe in product placement as well, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, it's wise to, like, if you have stylist homies, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, and they like what you do and they're around, you know, whomever, whether it's like some rappers or, you know, I don't want to use the word influencer, but like, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, it's strategy, you know what I'm saying, you know. But I think when it comes to seeding, when it comes to selling, it's all about you just thinking before you do it. Because sometimes people just do stuff and it's like a response, you know what I'm saying, or it's a little reaction actually, you know what I'm saying, you know, and not necessarily kind of like, well, let me think through this. Like if I get this to him, it could potentially probably, you know, get to certain such or da, da, da. You know what I'm saying? Like I think actually thinking through that can, you know, kind of help you figure out, you know what I'm saying, like how much I should seed. You know what I'm saying? I think even just that's a whole nother thing too, is like figuring out how much to seed. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, if you only have, you know, based off of whatever your budget is or based off whatever profit you're trying to hit, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe it's only wise for you to seed 15 things. You know what I'm saying? And with those 15 things, you know, divide it up in a way where, you know, you take care of whatever you think you need to take care of. Like if it's like, you know, your rapper homies, you know what I'm saying, you know, or, you know, people that like your little shorties that you want to like rock, and you know they the cool people in high school, you know what I'm saying, so you want them to kind of like, you know what I'm saying, so it's just kind of thinking through it, you know what I mean. But like also too, I think it's also, you know, you also gotta not spoil people too, you know, because that can kind of bite you in the ass.
It's like the balance,
you know what I'm saying, you know what I mean. So you know, it's just, I think it's just finding, you know, finding what works for you. But I think at the end of all of this though, and you know, that's probably like the biggest takeaway, you know, I hold or I take away from like just being a creative, being a entrepreneur, being a whatever, you know what I'm saying, like you gotta think, you know what I'm saying, you gotta think, you know what I mean. And I think if you're able to think through it, weigh out the pros and the cons, you'll have a more solid, you have some clarity, you know what I'm saying, on how to approach it, you know.
Yeah, and then learn how to say no.
Yeah, learn how to say no. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes I have to say no. Or you know what I'm saying? Like,
sometimes it's like, nah.
You know what I'm saying? Or maybe you can't answer that text. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe you can't, you know what I mean? Cause
maybe you just send a little discount code or something.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But yeah, I've had to, it's tough not answering text or like, you know, or, you know, whatever, you know. But sometimes you gotta wait till everybody else get it. You know what I'm saying? You know, but yeah. You know, you gotta have whatever your meter is of, you know, who should get this or whatever. But I love people that you know, and that have been supporting, you know, for like the longest, and you'll try to give them something and they'll be like, no. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you know what I mean? I love them type of people.
I want to bet. Yeah.
You know, and sometimes, you know, I may test somebody, you know what I'm saying? They kind of say, like, oh, okay, you gonna take that? You know what I'm saying? Just to kind of just see like where you at with it. You know what I mean? But you know, it's all psychology in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's good advice. Speaking about production and proofing, how have you developed like your relationships with manufacturers, and like what is that, you know, in terms of like quality control, and like how are you navigating that? Because I notice you pre-order, or you not afraid to run a pre-order, you know, on something where it'll ship in 4 to 6 weeks. Right. You know, it's not this, I got it here waiting to, you know, sell to people. Right. And I admire that, and I think it's something that, you know, you don't have to do, but it's also very environmentally like conscious as well. But yeah, can you talk about like how you've developed your relationships with manufacturers, and like what is that proofing process like for you?
Yeah, man, trial and error. You know, trial and error. Because I'm still kind of, I'm not as scared of pre-orders like I used to be, you know, and you know, I think the fear in pre-order sometimes it's like, you know, you may not meet a deadline, you know what I'm saying? But I think, you know, through successful drops, or, you know, through like, you know, building a certain type of like relationship with your consumers, you know, they kind of begin to trust, you know, and say, oh yeah, we can wait for 4 to 6 weeks, or they may really like it, you know what I mean? But like it, you know, I've had situations where, you know, I'll get something printed and it doesn't come out the way I want to, you know what I'm saying? So then it's like, now we kind of got to find a solution to like, how we gonna make this work? Do we send everybody the email like, yo, you know what I'm saying, we need to, you know what I'm saying? Just like, you know, those like going through those tough times, you know, gives you the insight and the wisdom to kind of like, and the skill set to help guide like how you handle like production, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of mess ups, you know what I'm saying, But like all of those mess ups or like things you can't control that happen, whether it's like hey, like the color changed, or you know what I'm saying, this didn't come out, you know what I mean, like those moments help me in the production process when it comes to like knowing what questions to ask, or you know, zooming in on like, you know what I'm saying, you know, the proof to be like, all right, you know what I'm saying, or just, you know, just even just like, you know, having a relationship enough to where you can actually pull up on like you know, whoever's printing for you, you know what I'm saying, and they can like,
let me see,
you know what I'm saying, y'all can like, you know, I've always been a fan of like puff print, you know what I'm saying, like, but I don't, you know, because I don't silk screen, you know, I wouldn't know that there's like levels to the thickness, you know what I'm saying, and you know, just being able to ask the printer like, well, you know, what level of thickness do you advise, you know what I'm saying, for this puff print, you know what I'm saying, and they'll give you that, but like you have to like
be in that,
yeah, you know what I'm saying,
exchange,
you know, because you know, you don't know, you know what I'm saying. I think a lot of times that happens, you know, when you kind of just first get started in things, you know what I mean. But yeah, you know, I've learned a lot, man. Even just like, you know, getting things made overseas, you know what I'm saying, and like, you know, doing a sample before like, you know, buying in bulk, or you know what I'm saying, or if you know, instead of, you know, like if you do a pre-order with something that's being made overseas, you know what I'm saying, like being 100% satisfied with the quality and, you know, product before, you know, you take it to market or whatever, you know what I'm saying. So I think it's a lot of it is just like trial and error, but then also like having a process, you know what I'm saying. So, you know, knowing what you're looking for, like knowing the size of, you know, the image, you know, or the graphic or whatever. Yeah, you know, just building that process, man, you know what I'm saying, and trusting yourself too. I think that's a big
so do
thing.
you proof most of the things that you drop?
Yeah,
at least
yeah.
One sample.
For sure,
yeah.
for sure. And then, but I think once you have a relationship with the manufacturer or silkscreen person that you're dealing with, they kind of understand you. You know what I'm saying, or know what you do. You know, but for certain drops, it may be like, or for certain designs, it may be like, hey, you know what I'm saying, instead of silkscreen, let's go to DTG route. You know what I'm saying, because there's mad colors in here. You know what I'm saying, like, you know, what you think, or do you suggest, you know, we do sublimation, you know what I'm saying, you know. But so I try to have those conversations with my printers, you know, just so like we're both on the same page.
Yeah. I know it gets tough a lot of times because there are minimums, and you know, that becomes a thing where it's like I may have an idea, but I can't afford to execute at least the minimum in order to then potentially drop it to make the money off of it.
Yep.
Is there any advice you would give to folks starting out, like, you know, is it okay to get the heat press machine and start doing it yourself, or like, you know, is it like, where do you, especially for streetwear, where do you kind of like stray the line of like quality versus just starting and doing what you can in like a DIY?
I think streetwear is about making cool things, making meaningful things, making things that that have like a certain type of I'm trying to figure out how to word it. It's about making things that mean something to you using whatever means you have. You know what I'm saying? You know, I think sometimes like streetwear kind of gets, because streetwear has grown and like it's such a big industry now. You know, there's like levels, you know what I'm saying? But like to anybody that's just starting, you know what I'm saying? Like it's about getting the message out, you know what I'm saying? It's about like getting that idea out, you know what I'm saying? Even if, you know, I'm not going to advise somebody to write a marker on a, you know what I'm saying, or use a Sharpie and write a design on the t-shirt, but if it makes sense to you and you know it can sell and it has like some resonation, you know what I'm saying, like get it out. And as you continue to grow, you know what I'm saying, your quality is going to come along with that, you know what I'm saying? Like when we was at Fat Tiger, it was heat pressing things. We were, you know what I'm saying, we was also silk screening things too, but like, you know, a lot of it was just DIY, you know what I'm saying? For me, it's more so just about executing the idea, you know what I'm saying? I think sometimes when you're just getting started in something, you get too caught up in like man, I want my quality to be this, you know what I'm saying? I wanted that to be, Egyptian cotton, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, hey, that's cool. You can work up to that, you know what I'm saying? But, like, also it's about, like, making sure that when somebody gets this T-shirt, when somebody gets this product, they proud to put it on, you know what I'm saying? And to me, that's kind of like what the fundamental essence of streetwear is, like, making things that have a meaning, that's meaningful to you, you know what I'm saying? But you're using the resources and means around you, you know what I mean? So, heat press it, whatever you got to do. I know some people are using the cricket joint. You know what I'm saying? I'm not that familiar with it, but it's like a DIY printer type of situation. You know what I mean? But I think it's like you should always want more though. You know what I'm saying? You should always want to grow and best your last. You know what I'm saying?
Nice. A few more questions. To date, what's been like the largest like selling product that you've put out? And why do you think it was like your best?
Maybe a few things. Like the earrings did really well for me. The bamboo earrings. I also did like a Black Dollar T-shirt that went crazy.
Can you quantify like for the people? You ain't got to put how much money you made, but like how many units,
Yeah.
If you remember, but just like.
I mean, like thousands. Like at least with earrings. The Black Dollar T-shirt probably did like some hundreds. The Chicago Grill T-shirts still do good for me. The ringers. The squad towels. I had squad towels. That was kind of like one of my first start. With that piece, like we're just kind of doing things outside of like T-shirts. Those items kind of like help me see that like I guess they resonate. They resonate and maybe they sell well. I think maybe because I think timing. I think if people connect with it, because everything is all product do. I mean, it sold 101 product and then maybe sold like 60 in another or whatever, or sold 500 here, or so. You know what I'm saying? So it shifts. I think it's just more so about how product connects. You know what I'm saying? And I think with certain messaging, certain graphics, they may just they may resonate at a certain point to where it can kind of like not necessarily spiral, but kind of just like continue to keep growing. You know what I'm saying? As it like once it hits the the world or whatever.
Yeah, you spoke about the Chicago Girls Do It Better T-shirt.
Word, I see you.
Go well. And this was gifted to me, so thank you.
Well.
But you have a trademark on this. Chicago Girls Do It Better. Can you talk about why? I guess for folks that may not know, what trademark is, and what was that process like for you, and why? Like, how did you know like this is a thing that I should try to protect?
Yeah. It's interesting because I feel like whenever you have like when people start brands, you instantly think you have to trademark things, just because like you want to own it, or you are fearful that like somebody might take that name or whatever. When I started Chicago Girls Do It Better, I wasn't thinking like that just because it was just like, all right, let's see if this works. You know what I'm saying? Let's see if it sticks. You know what I mean? So at that point I wasn't even thinking about doing it, but as I kind of like as the brand grew, and I've seen like other cities kind of like insert their city, whether it's like I think I've seen Philadelphia do it, I've seen Ohio Girls. It was like, all right, maybe I should kind of like figure out how to legally kind of like protect it or whatever. Then I was also seeing like a lot of like redos of the shirt. You know what I'm saying? So like if you type in Chicago Girls Do It Better, there's like a lot of like generic T-shirt companies that print it. You know what I'm saying? And I got to a point too where I was able to kind of like have a little extra money to be able to go through that trademark process. You know what I'm saying? Because you depending on, you can do it on your own. You know what I'm saying? But I think I would advise some people, you know what I'm saying, to like have a lawyer help you too, you know what I'm saying, somebody that actually specializes in that, you know what I'm saying. But when you get a lawyer, you got to, pay for that service, then it's like, trademark fees or whatever, you know what I'm saying. But that was like a new process for me because I had never done anything like that. But I think the value in it is that, that, it in a way it belongs to you, or like you have some discretion on how it's used, you know what I'm saying, but it's still weird because, part of streetwear, is like a streetwear badge of honor is like getting a cease and desist letter, you know what I'm saying, from like somebody that's like bigger than you, like, and I never want to have to send a cease and desist letter, you know what I'm saying, because it's just like, it's not hating, you know what I'm saying, but it's like, it's like you kind of like stopping somebody from eating. It's not eating, but like, it's like they,
you interfering.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think I didn't do it for that. I just kind of wanted to do it just to like, make sure that it was protected. You know what I mean? So like if it was used in any other type of way that I saw fit, you know what I'm saying? Then it's like, all right, hey, I could be like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Y'all gotta chill. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's an interesting process though. You know what I'm saying? Like I think me having a lawyer within that process helped me out a lot.
You talked about being like self-funding, and because you got a day job, like you do a whole other set of things. You work in education, and your current role is bringing you back to your elementary. Can you talk about your role and where you are, and then just why is this day job but very important work essential to who you are?
Right. Yep. Yeah, so I got back to Betty Shabazz in December, so I'm still pretty new there. And it's like, it's funny saying that I'm new, but like just new in the sense of like having a position inside the school, or the school network. My title is Director of Cultural Infusion and Programs, which which to me in essence kind of just means somebody that cares about making sure that the youth in the school have opportunities to engage in culture, to participate in culture, and are exposed to all things culture, you know what I mean. Being back has been cool because it's such a full circle moment, you know what I'm saying. I feel like Betty Shabazz was one of the first places where I was able to like explore myself artistically and creatively, you know what I'm saying. So like being back and having to be responsible for creating those experiences and making sure that the children are able to be developed, and impacted, in a way where they can see themselves, where they can see their history, and like know what they're capable of, you know what I'm saying. It's like, it's very important to me, you know what I'm saying, because I didn't apply for the gig. It kind of just came to me, you know what I'm saying. So I'm like, when I heard about it, it was just kind of like, all right, this is probably like, it's aligned, you know what I'm saying. This was supposed to happen, you know what I'm saying, but being there within these 4 months, I've been able to. My goal is to just kind of really make the school this place of almost like a hub, you know what I'm saying, a hub of like black culture, a hub of art, a hub of just black expression, you know what I mean, because that's what it was for me, you know what I mean. And one of the ways I've been like really trying to push that is using the school's history to beautify the school, you know what I'm saying, as well as like using my resources and like leveraging my partnerships, you know what I'm saying, and using that to help amplify the school as well, you know what I'm saying. So like since I've been there, we kind of like reestablished a partnership with Dusaba Museum within the science program. We've linked up with Illinois Tech, and they have like a specific division called George Washington Carver Center Advancement for Science Education. Just like really just trying to like trying to in some ways kind of contemporize like the school or modernize it in a way, you know what I mean, to like what's happening now, because it's still very rich, of culture, when Betty Shabazz opened up, it was the first African-centered, charter school. Since then, a lot of schools have kind of like, a lot of schools in the city have, taken to that model. You know what I mean? And I think it's still like a really effective model. To educate, children of color. You know what I'm saying? Especially black kids. A school that's like centered, on blackness. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of like my whole thing. It's my ethos. You know what I'm saying? Like so just being there and being able to push that and to grow that. You know what I'm saying? Has been.
All right, and then there's a bunch of things that you're working on that we got to talk about, but folks can follow the school and the work, Betty Shabazz.
Yep.
And last question, are there any, I guess, things that you are manifesting and dreaming for the future as it relates to your work and practice and your brand? I know you're working on a space, but aside from that, what's next for Dez?
Space is a big piece. I think practice-wise, it's just continuing to grow. You know what I'm saying? Just as like in my craft, as well as just like building teams. You know what I'm saying? I think it's important to like being back at Shabazz. Like I really see, and I already knew, but like I think the need to create black institutions, you know what I'm saying? I think it's like, necessary, you know what I mean? And I think that's kind of like where I'm leaning, towards, is just being able to create, these lasting legacies, you know what I'm saying? So like when I'm long and gone, you know what I'm saying? And, transition, you know what I mean, not to be morbid, but like I want to be able to kind of live after I'm gone, you know what I'm saying, and like people still like carry the mission of bringing our people together, you know what I'm saying, and connecting our people to our history, you know what I'm saying, and really fixing a lot of things that need to be solved, you know what I mean, whether that's on a creative level or whatever, on a policy level, all of that, you know what I mean. I just kind of hope I can contribute to that, you know what I'm saying, as I continue to grow as a person, as a creative, and I guess like I don't know what I'm in academia now, so yeah, whatever that is too, you know what I'm saying. So yeah.
Thank y'all for tuning in to Positioning Your Passion podcast. You can follow us at Positioning Your Passion, and you can follow Dez at _Dez Money and WAWG Squad, and Chicago Girls Do It Better. Next time, peace.